Hi, my name is Amy Joyce, and I'm the Director of the Office of Child Care in the Early Learning Division of the Department of Education. On August 14th, we issued the new guidance for operating childcare and other early education programs during COVID times. We are doing a series of videos to help you understand and to implement the new guidelines. Start by watching the introduction video from ELD Director Miriam Calderon. That video describes the purposes of the guidelines and the process we used to develop it. The focus of this video is an overview, how it overlaps with the governor's executive order and the temporary orders issued by this agency, who the guidelines apply to, and the process for operating legally. After this video, move on to the substantive videos. 14 short and straightforward descriptions of each of the 14 sections of the guidelines. These are not comprehensive. You need to read the guidelines requirements, but they are great summaries for the most important parts. And we're also posting each video in Spanish. We'll start quickly with the various documents and how they work together. Again, this is just a summary. It's not a full legal description. Since the start of the pandemic in March, Governor Brown issued executive orders based on the state of emergency brought on by the novel coronavirus and COVID-19. The executive orders that involve childcare include number 20-19 and the more general executive orders that impact childcare and other sectors, including 20-30. You can find those on the governor's website. The governor's executive orders give special rulemaking authority to the Early Learning Division. The ELD director has used that authority to issue several temporary orders since March. There will be an updated temporary order issued before September 1. The temporary order will incorporate the new guidelines and describes the various legal standards and processes involved. The guidelines we issued August 14 describe the requirements for operating during COVID times. As always, the usual administrative rules remain in effect and are fundamental requirements for licensed providers. So when do the guidelines go into effect? The new guidelines that we issued on August 14th go into effect on September 1 of 2020. For providers who want to implement earlier for the sake of increased group size, for example, you can do that as long as you implement all of the guidelines. Who do the guidelines apply to? They apply to all of the following: licensed childcare facilities, including certified centers, certified family homes, and registered family homes. The guidelines apply to recorded programs, both preschool and school age. They apply to public schools offering childcare or preschool. The guidelines also apply to programs operating Oregon Pre-K, Preschool Promise, or Baby Promise programs. They apply to relief nurseries. And they also apply to early intervention and early childhood special education, also known as EIECSC, that is provided in a childcare or early education setting. For license-exempt family, friend, and neighbor care, these guidelines are meant to be helpful, but they are not required in these settings. ELD will be putting out information for these care providers to help them understand the important ways they can help control the spread of COVID. Now, what processes are you required to follow to legally operate? If you're already an approved emergency childcare or ECC provider, you don't need to submit anything new unless you need to update us on capacity or staff. For those not already an approved ECC, here's what you need to do. If you're a licensed provider, you must apply to be an ECC and be approved before you can resume operation. In most cases, we can approve you in just a few days. You can find the ECC application online or contact your licensor if you need assistance. If you're a recorded program, either preschool or school age, submit the ECC application with the list of your staff. You need to ensure that your staff have passed a state background check. They need to either be enrolled in the Central Background Registry or pass an Emergency Background Check, or EBC. The EBC is a streamlined but still rigorous background check developed to speed up the process for these facilities during COVID times. The point of filing for the ECC for a recorded program is for the Office of Child Care to verify your staff have that background check completed. If you or your employees submit all the required information, we can process an emergency background check in just a few days. Note that the Office of Child Care will not be doing a pre-approval inspection or conducting routine follow-up visits of recorded programs. The requirements for childcare or preschool operating in a public school depend on who is actually operating the care. If the school itself is operating the childcare, you need to follow the August 14th guidelines, but you do not need to file an ECC application because you're license exempt. However, if you're a private company or a nonprofit operating the childcare or preschool on behalf of the school, you need to be an approved ECC to operate. Depending on what you're offering, you might be a recorded program or licensed childcare. Contact the Office of Child Care for more information. Will the guidelines be updated or changed? We know that many things are going to change over time. We will learn about particular circumstances not covered in the guidelines. There will be new scientific studies that could change the health experts' thinking on the best ways to control the spread of the virus. And we'll hear from you on what's not working. So first, keep updated with the FAQ section on our website. As we get questions and answer them, you'll want to know the latest clarifications because they often benefit providers. Also, we expect to update the guidance occasionally as bigger changes happen. If we do change the guidelines, we'll notify you in the usual ways, including email, social media, and our website. We know you'll have questions. Please email them to providercontact@state.or.us. Again, that's providercontact@state.or.us. We have that FAQ section on our website, and we will continually update it with your questions and our answers. We also expect you're going to have ideas on how to improve the guidelines. Use that email address for your ideas also. You're probably also wondering what resources the Early Learning Division and the Office of Child Care will be providing. First, we're updating documents that we already had out for providers, like the daily sign-in log and a chart for showing the rules for exclusion and quarantine to reflect the new guidelines. We're also going to add many templates and technical assistance documents, like a checklist for the daily health check, a checklist for reporting a case of COVID, and a template for the new COVID health and safety plan requirement, and similar documents. ELD is also trying to secure and pay a vendor who you'll be able to work with for access to and significantly discounted prices on critical supplies like gloves, cleaning products, and facial coverings. If you have ideas for other resources, please send them to that provider email address and we will consider them. Thank you for watching. You're providing a crucial resource for Oregon's working families. Thank you for providing care and education to Oregon's children.